Okay, so this is how I ended up getting the alternator removed off this bracket. You can see it's not on the car obviously, so I'll inform you how I was able to get that off. But the problem I was having with this alternator was that I was spinning on this pivot point right here, and I had used an 8mm Allen or hex, whatever you'd like to call it, and it was spinning in there pretty good, but it was only really reaching this gasket type deal here, and no matter how much I turn on it, I wasn't able to release the alternator from here. So it's pretty compact in the engine compartment, and I reached my hand in underneath, and there's actually a bolt. It's out, it's further out right now, but when it's all the way screwed in, it comes all the way up to here. And so I was able to peek in there and take a look, and I saw that there was that hex head on that end, so I ended up putting I think an 8mm. Oh no, this one was on this side. It was a 6mm. I just put a 6mm on a 1/4-inch drive, and I had an extension, and I stuck it back through this hole, and I was able to meet up with it here, and then I could back it out, and that was the final bolt that released the alternator. So with that, I was able to pop it off, set that to the side, and of course the AC unit that was here got popped off. There were a few bolts holding that in, 1, 2, 3, and then 2 on the bottom right there. That's what was holding the AC unit on. I ripped that out, finally got the alternator out, but then this bracket here was a real pain in my neck. So I was able to get this bolt off pretty quickly. That goes right into the engine block. It's pretty dark in here, sorry about that, folks. And then these two bolts here, these mounted pretty close to where the water pump sat. I think it went right past it, and that mounted in right there and right there. So my water pump, which was right here, it's been taken off. Those two bolts I showed you lined up right there. So I had those two. I had these two taken off, and this guy right there, but it was still pivoting a little bit, and it was driving me crazy because I couldn't figure out what was left holding this thing in. And I scoured the internet. I really wasn't able to find out until I read a post about 2 bolts being behind the lower timing belt cover, and those bolts ended up being these 2 right here. Now I may have these in here backwards, but these 2 bolts, this is the bolt that holds on the upper timing belt cover, and then this is just a bolt it was just hidden in there. Now this, I don't know, this flange, whatever you'd call that, that was really tucked in. What gave me such a hard time, it was tucked in right there in that crevice between this bracket here, or that point, and then the shield for the timing belt. It was stuck right in there, and I had to had to peel back that timing belt cover. This is going to be difficult to see. But basically, I was able to get a screwdriver in through, right in there. Okay, I was able to get a screwdriver right in through here. The top timing belt cover's off. This right here, that is the hole for that, for the bolt that keeps the timing belt cover on. This guy right there. So there's a, I think a nut that, sorry, I think there's a nut that sits on this end, and then that bottom goes right into the engine block. And then this guy, that second one, that's a little further down in there. You're not going to really be able to see it, unfortunately. I don't have very good lighting in here. But that's the second bolt. I think that was 10 mil, 12 mil, something like that. But once I was able to get this guy off completely, once I backed him out, this whole thing came out. So that was the source of a lot of anxiety and trouble for me. So I'm glad I was able to figure that out, and hopefully I can help someone else down the road. And now I'm thinking about leaving the air conditioning off, but then modifying this bracket, maybe cutting it apart, and then using it as basically using the old alternator points for the alternator, but then having another bracket to basically have an adjuster, have a non-AC unit here, but still be able to use the old bracket, have it in the same position so I don't have any problems lining up the pulleys, but then maybe cutting out some of this, cutting off most of this part right here, maybe some of it down in here. We'll see what ends up being possible, but that's kind of the tentative plan. Well, I hope this helps someone out down the road, and I'm glad to be done with it myself. All right, thanks.